Had a lot of questions about alternate teams that could work after doing the last Giovanni Shadow Raikou video, so here we go. Although you heard it here, we're facing the world's greatest trainer, so we might as well not even try, right? Wrong! Let's do this. So we're gonna have actually two different parties right here. Both of them could work. The only problem is, the one on the left that's gonna be a smaller screen right there, it actually loses this match. I think it's a difference of powering up just like one or two more times, but also where the charge move ends up happening. Maybe some of the more strategic elements of this. We'll get into that. But the winning team is gonna be a Lucario, Mamoswine, and Mamoswine. A lot of you guys may not have Lucario, and that's okay. The point is, we're also showing off Hariyama. That's sort of, I guess, a demonstration of some of the other alternative fighting types, because in my first Shadow Raikou video, we showed off a Machamp and a Conkeldurr, and so aside from that, you could use Breloom, counter Dynamic Punch, that sort of thing. But Lucario should have Aura Sphere to be considered the top fighting type usually in the PvE space. This Lucario would have done better in two different scenarios, basically. One, if it had Power Up Punch, so if you wanted to add a second move, or if your Lucario just happens to have Power Up Punch, it would help you actually in these Team Rocket fights where, maybe you would want Aura Sphere as a superior move in other facets of the game. But in this, it would be great. It would raise his attack. You'd be able to get the charge move off pretty rapidly, but mine has Aura Sphere. It's also 84%. It was like, 1800 CP or something like that. So kind of all things considered, that Lucario wasn't going to be like the cream of the crop of Lucarios, of course. But the good news about that, and for demonstration purposes, is that you don't need your team to be like super OP. Now, this Mamoswine kind of is. It's 3179 CP right here. I think it was 98 IVs. Maybe a little bit more in the OP territory to some degree. Now, you saw on the left side, of course, we did lose our first Pokemon, but have a Swampert coming out next. Swampert actually is pretty effective in these Team Rocket battles, kind of like across the board in every iteration of them. And actually, even though the Hippowdon that we're fighting has Thunderfang, normally that would be really, really bad if we were using a water-type Pokemon. But in this case, Swampert is water and ground, and so the ground actually can nullify that. So just give your Swampert Hydro Cannon, of course. I think mine needed to be powered up just a little bit more. Again, we're only talking like maybe 2 or 3 power-ups. It's at 2502 on the CP. And you can see that, we're mostly staying on pace between the two teams. I did do one switch out to stop the Hippowdon from attacking so much on this middle screen, the winning team that we're going to have here. Of course, the switch was from Mamoswine to Mamoswine, both at 3000 CP. Our Golem is fully powered, and that's great. It's got Rock Blast, which is also great. The thing was that I wanted to use Earthquake, a ground move here against Raikou, to get the super effective damage. One issue with that was that it did actually, well, I guess for one, it didn't KO the Raikou, and so I was just like, oh god, and I was in crunch time because I knew what was about to happen. Essentially, if that Raikou gets off its charge attack, whether it's Wild Charge or in this case, I think you're going to see Thunderbolt, it's like pretty much going to make your Pokemon faint unless their health is full. Again, I guess it would just depend on your typings and everything. So you saw that's not very effective against Golem, but it still managed to knock it out, and we only had, less than 3/4 of the HP there left. So once again, it's kind of in that strategic element. Like you saw, when I say strategic elements, I mean, like, for instance, we switched out between our two Mamoswines during the Hippowdon fight, and that actually allowed us to generate some energy on this current Mamoswine, while also not losing our other Mamoswine who had some energy buildup as well. So you can see that the Thunderbolt is going to take this one out. Of course, it's not very effective against Mamoswine, but that Mamoswine didn't have enough life to stand on, and I knew that was bound to happen. So here we have a Mamoswine that has Ancient Power, and so that's actually going to charge up a little bit faster than, say, Avalanche. While Avalanche usually is a more superior move in general, this Ancient Power, you can see we can get it off, and then we could probably get another one just before it dies, and that's going to, of course, prevent this Raikou from attacking us any further. It's also going to get the KO right here, and we were just lucky, obviously, that it didn't have to use its charge attack once more. I would say lucky, but I mean, there was some thought put into this. It wasn't like we just sort of happened to luck into that victory completely, and then he's just like, your love of Pokemon gave you the advantage this time. I mean, he says that every time, doesn't he? I mean, this time, last time, the previous time, we beat him left and right. It doesn't matter what he uses. So for anybody still stuck, I do have another video, of course, on Shadow Raikou, as I said, because we've already done this fight once before, but now you got some alternatives to the Pokemon that I chose in that video. Still winning teams, still winning strategies. I know you guys can do it, but let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and click an end screen on screen to be taken to another video. I appreciate it so much, and I'll catch you guys on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.